Oh, you damn right. They turned the modcast over to me. Well, no, not exactly. We're going to turn it over to these three guys. Mr. Ketchum has some business things to attend to. So if the Jeff Ketchum is out, that means there's more space for these three guys to talk. Y'all know it's true. Hope Jeff Ketchum has a good day today. He's dealing with the business side of things. So we're combining.
We just call that Tuesdays, okay? Why don't we just call it what it is?
It's fair. Right. Yeah, it's it. It is. It's a Tuesday, and sometimes that happens. Middle of the week, Ketch tries to get a lot of business work done, and sometimes we have to rearrange and juggle. And I appreciate the fellas for rearranging their schedule today. Since we're coming on at 12, normally House Divided time, we'll do kind of a combo modcast House Divided as we have before. So we appreciate you jumping in. First and foremost, modcast brought to you by the good folks at Daily and Black. We certainly appreciate them. And of course, it's Jason Sukamel, it's Anwar Richardson, and it's Alex Dunlap. You catch all their great work on orangebloods.com. And of course, here on Orange Bloods Live with different shows we got rolling for you. And we are glad to be doing it. We thank you all for supporting it. And of course, Texas coming off of the loss to Ohio State. There's always things going on in recruiting. There is portal to discuss. And today we'll kind of get into, there's also guys headed to the NFL to discuss. And that's sort of where we're going to start today, fellas, in terms of a rebuild in the wide receiver room. Not that this is the biggest shock in the world, but now that it's official, since the last modcast show, Matthew Golden has officially said, yep, headed to the NFL. And now Isaiah Bond is officially heading to the NFL, because nowadays everybody gets like 8 years of eligibility and you got to tell everybody when you're going. So Bond's going, Golden's going. So now we talk about what this room is moving forward. Anwar, let me start with you. If I say Wingo, Moore, Bolden, is that a pretty good way to start this room for next year? Still kind of sounds like a law firm.
Bolden's a senior, right?
So grad transfer, right? I think that maybe they could work some math to do. I don't know.
I always thought he was one and done. So you would actually be talking Aaron Butler. Okay. More so than anything else, because I think as I look at the depth chart from the Georgia championship, the championship game, the SEC championship game, they had at the Z, they had Golden, Stringer, and Butler at third string.
We're already having some maybe.
Of course, my internet sucks. So
yeah, I was going to say we were already off to a hell of a start that way.
You may see, Chad, some portal activity still for Texas, or you still got Jamie French, Khalil Lockett. I mean,
some folks may have to probably being over Butler, I would guess. We haven't seen Butler. I mean, we've seen him a little bit in practice. I still have not seen Freddie DuBose Jr. practice. I don't even know what that guy looks like.
I haven't either. Alex, I never consciously looked specifically for him, but I'm always taking just pictures of so many receivers. Mm-hmm. I don't ever remember seeing him. I'll end up having pictures of just some random walk on. I'm like, oh, whatever. But I don't remember ever having a picture of Freddie. So I don't know if he was ever even actually working out.
Towards the end of fall camp, I was just like, I need to get just a proof of life on this guy. And I think he came in hurt and was always in the bubble or something. No. But yeah, I think next year, as far as and I know you asked Anwar, but he's not here right now. I would say if you tell me Wingo, DeAndre Moore, I would say, the other side's probably as of now would be Khalil Lockett or Jamie French. I would think both those guys are awesome prospects. You also let's see here. I'm just trying to make sure that McCutcheon coming in, Jason, whenever you've talked with Michael Terry during his time as a recruit, did he ever mention to you any specifics about dude, I'm going to come in and I'm starting out at tight end, or I'm starting out at wide receiver, or I'm starting?
No, they've talked to him about a little bit of everything, including everything you just said, but not specifically. I know when he was scheduled to be at the Navy All-American Bowl last week and ended up not going because he was practicing with the team. They had him working. They were going to have him working out at receiver, so he can be a big outside receiver. But Texas just said kind of more like just a offensive athlete, if you will. So
yeah. Well, people in the chat are talking about Wingo and Livingstone at the same time, and I don't see that. I think that Livingstone, maybe here's the I love Parker Livingstone. I think he's good. I think he's eventually going to be good. But this whole year, those two guys have clearly played the same position. Livingstone lines up behind Wingo. So could that change? But maybe. I think that they've shown. They showed us last year when there was just so much. They're like, well, man, they got, going back to when Jonte Cook was still available, it was like, how are they going to roll these 6 dudes out? How are they going to do it? And it turned out what they did was they did what they needed to do to get their best, their best 3 on the field, regardless of where they've been lining up in practice. And that's why they've done all the cross training at these other positions. So it's hard to tell what the room is going to look like next year, but I do think that, you got a bunch of talent, and at some point you got to say to yourself, well, when you go out, you give Jamie French and you like Khalil Lockett, you probably gave each of these guys almost $1 million or something like that. You probably gave them all a lot of money. Like, they're really good players. Like, who's to say that they can't come in and have any kind of impact between all those? French, Lockett, McCutcheon, Michael Terry. Would it be crazy to think that one of those guys could hit and be really good as a true freshman? I think that there's going to be a lot of intrigue about who exactly it'll be and what the pairing would be. But I think when starting out with Wingo and Moore, it's like, I don't really think you're playing Russian roulette with just hoping that one of those guys hits.
Yeah, and somewhere
don't rule out Aaron Butler either, man.
I'm not going to rule.
I'm not saying you are, but if you look at his film from high school, he's a borderline Rivals 100 guy, and he's electric with the ball in his hands. Now, how polished is he? Is he ready for that kind of role? I don't know. We'll see. In the spring, will tell us a lot on that. But I think Aaron Butler has a chance to be in that mix as well.
Yeah, and you can almost hear Jonte Cook screaming, "Oh, now you're going with the young talent, huh?" But that's a whole nother topic. And gentlemen, just before we leave it, the reason I mentioned Bolden and people are saying he used up his eligibility, I saw what Tyler saw when I looked up numbers. He played in 21, 22, 23, and 24. 3 years at Oregon State and 1 at Texas. So maybe does he not get an option for another year if he wanted it? Like, does he
hit him up and ask him? He's so responsive, but he did come in as a grad transfer, so I can't.
So maybe you don't. If you come in that way, you just get the 1, I guess. Maybe.
You know what? That's what I think, but I don't know for sure. So
yeah, okay. So if that's true, then obviously they would be moving on from all 3 of those guys.
That would be a question that if I was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and they asked me and I could phone a friend out, I would phone Chad Hastings. I figured that he would know the exact answer to that question. The minutia of rules and stuff.
I tried. That's why, my eyes lit up today. I'm a Silas Bolden fan. I'd love the idea of him coming back. And I saw, oh, wait, that's only 4 years. Doesn't he have 5 if he needs it? And that's why I thought, well, maybe we'll have a Bolden conversation, but maybe that is not possible. So I'm just getting a little too excited over things that cannot happen. So it is official with now. I'll see here. Look at Tyler. Look at Tyler trying to help me out. Grads can play up to 2 years. Okay, Tyler. Okay.
Well, you can be 2 years in grad school, so it would make sense. I'm checking on it right now, so we'll see if I can.
All right, we're gonna check on it. We will get a check on it. That's fantastic. Also, it is official now. Not that anybody's surprised about this. Gunnar Helm also announcing he is going to the NFL. I don't think anybody is surprised on that one. Just
you guys see what I guess you see what Cody texted me earlier. This tweet from Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network. He said he just got done watching Matthew Golden, and he thinks he could easily be the top wide receiver in the class.
Really? I saw something today. Well, I think I saw a mock today that it was kind of a mid to late first round. Is that where that area is going to be?
Yeah. Well, if number one I figured number 1 in the class is going to be Hunter, and he's going to go like first through fourth.
Is that maybe a technicality, Alex, where they're just considering Hunter just a super freak and not strictly considering him a wide receiver?
Oh, I think a lot's going to go into it, but this is a thought experiment I've been having lately about him, and I know that it's like to me, I would think that it just doesn't seem like you would draft it. It doesn't seem like it would be that giant of a value add to draft him as a wide receiver and play him just in packages as a corner. Whereas if you wanted to play him at corner, I think that it would be a giant value add with how great he is at wide receiver to have like the offensive packages with him. But how often do you have like a situational, outside corner? Right? It's like that. It's normally your situational guys are your nickel and your dime guys, and maybe they could use them in some kind of deal like that for sub packages. But yeah, clear. I mean, different teams are gonna. This will be something. We're gonna have our shows from the Senior Bowl and stuff coming up, and these are the kinds of questions that we'll kind of ask guys. I just found it super interesting that in a class where it is a relatively down wide receiver class, but you still have Luther Burden and Ted McMillan and Hunter and all these guys to hear a guy like Daniel Jeremiah, who's the kind of the grand poobah of the NFL draft in the media space, say that he could easily be the top wide receiver in the class. It's just really, I think, as people that watch Texas really closely, and especially seeing the run he's been on lately, with just really just he's been good all year, but he's been just a super freak for the last 4 to 5 games, and I think that we've all seen it. It's interesting that it's catching on in the narrative as far as the big media space for the draft. And I guess even with as good as he'd been, I didn't think we would hear somebody at that level like Jeremiah talking about him like he could be the number 1 wide receiver. It's just wild.
Yeah, talk about taking advantage of your year out of the portal for Matthew Golden. Before we leave the helm discussion, Alex, talk about kind of that tight end position as we head into the draft real quick. I saw that the stud from Penn State's officially declared. That's not a shock to anybody, but him and Helm, is that kind of where the list is start? How close is Helm to the top of the list for the draft votes?
I think Helm probably, we're going to get to see him at the Senior Bowl. That'll be a good kind of a test for him. There's also the guy Harold Fannin Jr., who a lot of people are talking about as kind of being up there. We all super productive player from Oregon. Mm-hmm. There's not Oregon. Where's he from? But he's from a small school. It's Bowling? I don't know. We're about to see him at the Senior Bowl. I think he's from Bowling Green.
Bowling Green, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he's going to be up there. Michigan guy was Colston Loveland.
Right.
He'll be up there. Mason Taylor, who is Jason Taylor's son that played at LSU. He's going to be at the Senior Bowl. He'll be up there. I heard Jim Nagy was that earlier today or yesterday talking about how some scouts think that he might be the first tight end to go. So I think he's probably in there with those guys. Fannin, and I could be missing somebody, but Tyler Warren, I'd imagine probably is the first tight end. And then Fannin, depending on the Senior Bowl. Loveland will be in that mix. Mason Taylor. I think Gunnar Helm has to go. I think he'll go top 5. Okay. And I think he could go as early as with a great Senior Bowl, and if he tests well.
I don't know if this website knows jack shit. It's a slick website, NFL Draft Buzz. They've got Gunnar Helm number 4, yeah, and all the other guys you mentioned in that top 5. They actually have Fannin number 1, Warren, Colston Loveland.
They have Fannin number. They have Fannin over Warren.
Yeah, yep.
Be interesting. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how Gunnar Helm fits into things. I can't wait to see what he does in the NFL. Obviously, best of luck to all those guys headed towards the NFL. We'll discuss some portal stuff coming up as well. An update on that USC offensive lineman. If you missed it, I also see your super chat, Matthew. If you guys want to throw in a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. We will also be thanking a lot of our great partners today. Let's start with the good folks at Rogue Shop. That's right. You hear Ketch talk about it. You've heard Anwar talk about it. You've heard the fellas talk about it. And recently, one of our loyal viewers found out a little something about Rogue Shop. When Rogue Shop tells you to take a fourth of a gummy, take a fourth of a gummy. Don't take the entire thing, especially if you have not gone down that path before. Our man ATX Bates found out the hard way.
Calling ATX Bates out.
Follow the instruct. Hey, he put it on the chat first, Jason.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He didn't tell me that in confidence. So check out Rogue Shop. They have some incredible products. They have a great website. And as Ketch always says, they're always active in the chat, so they'll be able to help you out If you have any questions, Texas home for legal, CBD, THC, and more. It is Rogue Shop. Check out rogueshop.com. Make sure you have some time because, again, it is a very involved website with a lot of cool stuff on it. All right, it's Matthew that starts us off with Super Chats today, $4.99. Alex, does Cam play like a first-round pick, or is it the tools? I feel like he plays like a third-round pick with first-round tools. He needs more development.
I mean, we had this on the show yesterday, and I don't know if Cam. I think Cam goes pro. I've always kind of thought it, but there's some people that think he might stay, and so there is some credence to your idea for development. I don't think he plays like a. I think the worst you could say about him is he plays like a second-round pick, but I think at times he's played like a first-round pick this year. There's been times I'd have to look at the exact game. You guys probably remember what it was. But there was one game where he was just terrible. I think he was terrible. Maybe I've only started the offense for Ohio State, but I know the one play was, the versus number 33. But dude, to start the game, it was pretty bad too. I think we can probably say that he was hurt. But we've seen super high level play from Cam Williams, especially in the run game. And like what you mentioned about the tools, it's like that's kind of. Whenever you say a first round pick, like a lot of times people get taken in the first round because they have that one superpower. There's one thing they can do. And with Cam, it's not necessarily one thing he can do, but it's what he's capable of doing just with his size and with his length. And the way that he can move his feet at that size and the way that he can wall people off from the outside and the inside whenever they're trying to convert, because he's probably got an 85-inch wingspan. You know what I mean? He's like the Great Wall of China over there. So it's hard to speed rush him because he's got this big lever over here, and then he's got enough power in his left arm to where if they try to convert inside, he can press you off. So it's the tools are definitely first round tools, and I think the worst you can say that he's played has been like a second round pick. I think if he is still deciding right now whether or not he's going to go to the NFL, and I don't know that decision might have already been made, right? He hasn't let us know. But if he is still deciding, there's a narrative I've kind of cooked up that maybe he got a second round grade back from the committee. They either be first, second, or go back to school. And so if he did get that second round grade, maybe what they're trying to pitch him on now is like, come back for another year and you're going to be a lock for the first. That's just my theory. But I don't think he plays like a third rounder. And I also think that whenever you talk about the traits, you have to bake that into your evaluation about whether a player is a first rounder, right? It's like right. You can separate them all you want, but the fact of the matter is people get drafted based on traits and projections almost as much as they get drafted based on statistics or production or whatever else that they racked up during their time in college.
Yeah, and obviously, Jason, when you have a play like what Sawyer did to him on that last key moment play, fans are always going to remember that. But obviously, if you're breaking it down from an NFL draft standpoint, you're not going to use one play to determine where
that process. I think,
where you're drafting a guy. Like it's going to be a little more complex than that.
Yeah, that wasn't his last play, but that's the last play anybody will remember from him.
Yeah,
but like Alex said, they're going to measure every inch of these guys' body and with Cam's size and ability to move and stuff. I don't know. Like Alex said, maybe he didn't get a first round grade, but we've been hearing for 6 weeks. Hey, he might go in the first round. I'm like, hey, if he's going in the first round, I wouldn't even be considering coming back if I was him. Maybe even second round. I don't know. But like Alex said, there's some talk behind the scenes that maybe he's not locked in to go to the pros.
Barb's 10, I see your super chat as well. We also have a little bit of portal stuff to discuss today. So makes me feel good. I don't know if it makes you feel good, but let's get a little Portal Combat theme going here. Come on.
Get over here.
Why is it that every time there's like an Aggie in there that makes me sad? I got to watch Wigman go by again, like I watched Walter Nolan last year.
No, you're not sad to lose Wigman, are you?
Man. I don't know, Alex. I was sitting there watching A&M whip up on Missouri, and he was looking really good. I thought maybe this is the guy, and Yeah, what did
which one of those Shamars is going to the Senior Bowl? I always get them mixed up.
it
Is
is?
Turner or Shamar Stewart?
Turner, right? Turner.
I don't know. I'll have to look.
I think it's
dude. They're gonna have some good Aggies. They're gonna have Scorton there too. It's gonna good Aggie players down in
Yeah, some of those defensive guys are gonna get drafted. Maybe first round. Maybe both those guys in the first round. We'll see. All right, super chat from our man Barb's 10, $5. The chat is making this sound like a player exodus. Has it reached this point yet? What is the outside perception? Is depth a concern? There's Anwar back.
I don't say player exodus. I don't think there's anybody that's really that unexpected. Anwar and I talked on his show this morning. Maybe Jaden Blue, and the other guys were pretty much expected. Most of them had run out of eligibility, and I don't think there's been any real surprises. Jaden Blue leaving was maybe a bit of a surprise. So, has it reached this point in what is the outside perception? I just think Texas's season just ended. They're going to have guys declaring for the draft. And it's not like guys of value are entering the portal to go jump to a different program. Guys are declaring for the draft. So I think it's kind of been about what we expected.
Well, and Barb's 10, thank you as always for the super chat. I think that gets us to this portal discussion, gentlemen, which is we knew Texas was going to be losing stuff along the offensive line. And Banks obviously headed to the NFL, and you're losing majors, and and we just talked about Cam Williams, and you would assume you lose who else am I leaving out? I'm leaving
Connor,
thank you. And you're going to lose, so you're ultimately losing like 4 of those 5. So to this portal update, Emmanuel Pregnon of USC was in for a visit this weekend, but now it's been announced. I guess it was we're talking on a Monday afternoon, or excuse me, a Tuesday afternoon. I think it was Tuesday morning, maybe when this came out, but that Emmanuel Pregnon is going to end up at Oregon, fellas. So he will not be coming to Texas. So Alex, as you start thinking about offensive line and what's there, before we talk, the portal part of it, what do you trust that's coming back? The first game, they're going to have to go to Columbus and block the Ohio State Buckeyes. Who do you trust to do that that's already there?
Well, you trust Gooseby and you trust Campbell. I think that those guys have done enough to build some trust. I mean, Cole Hudson's been a starter. He hasn't been very good, but I trust in Kyle Flood. I'm probably trusting him the most. And if he I think what's going to be most interesting is Cole Hudson better at left guard, right? You got Gooseby left tackle. Is Cole Hudson going to be better at left guard? And then at center, it's like, can a guy like Cruz, is because if Pregnon would have come, what it would have been is I think they would have probably had Cole Hudson shift to center because he's cross trained at center, and they would have Pregnon at left guard, Gooseby left tackle, right guard DJ Campbell, and then the question becomes up at right tackle is just how far along is Brandon Baker? How far along has he come? He had taken over. He had usurped Andre Kojo during the season, despite being kind of running third team. That was actually by the end of fall camp. Brandon Baker was running ahead of Kojo. With that being said, whenever we saw what happened, whenever the right tackle situation was in flux with Cam Williams being out, they didn't feel comfortable going to Baker this year. They would rather take Gooseby and move him over there to right instead of Baker. So that might show you a little bit about where they are. They certainly think that Gooseby is an upgrade on Baker. So we can probably say if the season were to start right now, that would be how it is, how he develops through the course of the spring.
Alex is frozen now. We're just taking turns.
Little freeze on Alex. While that's happening and he's correcting there, Anwar, Jason, in terms of Pregnon, obviously ending up at Oregon, I know Texas fans are wondering about the O-line portal, like what this could look like. Obviously, we got these little portal windows right now. The bigger one's coming in the spring. So what do we feel like the discussion is for Texas in terms of portal need at offensive line?
Well, it's interesting. Like, honestly, this portal window is usually bigger than the spring one. Most guys have already transferred in the spring. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, what's available in the spring. We really hadn't been hearing, and I think maybe Anwar reported it a while back, like offensive line wasn't a huge need, but now you start looking at guys going to the NFL and this, that, and the other, and it's like, okay, they could use some experience there. So they bring in Pregnon, and, I think Oregon and Tennessee kind of had a head start there. Texas did get him in for a visit. Now, I've kicked the tires, and I was told it sounded like the visit went very well, but a guy like that, listen, he's from Colorado. He played at Wyoming. He played at USC. Maybe he's a West Coast guy. He's got 1 year. It was going to be an NIL race, and Oregon's not going to lose a lot of those NIL races. So, Texas took a late swing when their season ended, got him in. They played on Friday, got him in town on Saturday. Just not good enough, too little too late, and maybe the pockets weren't quite as deep as Oregon. So what's next? I'm not going to sit here and say I know what every offensive lineman that's in the portal currently. But yeah, it'd be nice if a couple hit the portal in the spring, and maybe Texas could be aggressive and try to get some experience depth. I mean, you feel pretty confident with Gooseby at left tackle. DJ Campbell, you'll feel pretty confident. Cole Hudson, I get it. Alex said he had been great, but he's got some starting experience at both guard and center. He can be at center for you. So, you've got three pieces you feel pretty comfortable with, but what's going to happen at left guard? What's going to happen at right tackle? Is it Brandon Baker? Is he going to step in and be that guy? Getting another interior lineman like Pregnon would have been good for Texas. Will that guy be available in the spring? Hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I know. Look, we're in January, right? So I can only speak on where we are as of January 14th at 12:28 p.m. Right? But when you look at this offense as a whole, there's going to be a lot of new starters that potential on this offense. I mean, Arch Manning will be a new starter. I know he's got 2 games under his belt, but that'll be a new guy. We don't know what it's going to look like at running back with C.J. Baxter coming off the injury, and if he's still his same self. We just talked about, well, at least when I was on the show for the first 2 minutes, I started to talk about the receivers and what does that look like as far as what all those receivers are. But those could be a brand new group of receivers unless they can get some guys in the spring. You got Gunnar Helm and Juan Davis gone. So now we're talking about like Amari Nyblack and the guy was, Jordan Washington? Was that the freshman's name? Mm-hmm. Then we started talking about all the new guys, again, with some experience like the Goosebys and like the guys that Alex mentioned. But there's a lot of guys on the offense like that they're going to have that are going to have bigger roles for the first time in their careers. And, you like to think, ideally you would like only to plug and play like a few guys, but not like at every single position, just about. So that, again, is January 14th. What this thing looks like come August 14th or September 14th is different. But right now, I got to say, with all the guys departing, like I have definitely concerns about the offense going forward.
Yeah, then obviously made a couple moves, made the special teams move with the punter, a couple defensive moves already, but be interesting to see what's that offensive move that's coming, and will it be kind of an interior, offensive line discussion. So Pregnon ends up at Oregon. Keep your eyes peeled for maybe any other portal visitors. Obviously, we're coming to the end. We're talking to you on a Tuesday. This Wednesday, the 15th, would be the last day that Texas guys, and for that matter, Penn State guys, could enter the portal in the short little portal after these games are done. Keep an eye on Ohio State. Keep an eye on Notre Dame for those little 5-day windows. And then everything goes to the spring window, which is still right around spring game time.
Yeah, it's mid-April, yeah. So.
April 15 to 30-ish.
Yeah, something I can't remember exactly.
Right, whatever they've decided to make it this year, whatever the window is. Let's see, I think I had a super chat that we got that one from Barb's 10. If you want to send us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. Kind of a Modcast house divided combo for you today. Since it is that, we'll thank some of our great partners around here, including the good folks at AV Consultations. If you watch Texas and Ohio State on a screen that's not good enough, or in a room that had a screen that made you jealous, AV Consultations can get it all set up. Here you go.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been providing custom electronic systems for Central Texas for more than 36 years. And
Old man, I think they all know who you are and what your company does. This is Camilla McKay. The old man believes in big fun and big ideas. He can make dreams come true, so why not dream big? I've been up in Boston, but I know the old man and all his friends and fellow radio heads have been spreading the holiday spirit here in Texas. Why should we stop there? Keep spreading the good feelings all over. Audiovisual Consultations carries all major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And you don't have to leave your house. Just like Santa, they deliver the gifts to you.
yeah, I like that, kid. Throw a party, hang out with your friends, catch a concert.
That's all fun and good, but can we get back to the business? You can give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit our website at avconsultations.com for some cool electronics.
Oh, now you're forgetting something.
And as always, hug your kids. We only pretend to be annoyed. Watch some games with
All right, little modcast, little house divided today. Thanks to the guys for rearranging their schedules. Thanks to y'all for jumping in. If you want to throw us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. And since you were looking at the screens there, we also want to tell you that it would appear that there is one more Orange Bloods watch party to come check out at the beautiful TCH Social Austin. We've been trying to figure out a way to get Anwar out there for some of that bad beat bacon because, you know, Anwar's working. He's at the games. Now we're there. We're at TCH working hard too. Please don't misunderstand it. Like Jason and I mean, we're working hard. But Anwar, of course, is on site for all the games. But I think TCH Social has decided they want to have us out. So if you haven't checked out the largest TV screen in North Austin, come and see us. Of course, that happy hour every day doesn't hurt. 2 to 7. We'll get you a graphic made up for the championship game. They are going to have us out there once again. So come on out and see us. We will be telling you about any specials that may be there. We're going to see if we can get that incredible special we've had throughout the season for the championship game. But come out and see us. A good bit of the Orange Bloods crew is going to try to get out there. TCH Social Austin. If you got to watch
the game, what time is
I
it?
will not be working hard that night, Chad. I'm going to cut loose a little bit.
That's right.
So I'm Ubering there and Ubering home. Let's just
I already thought about my Uber, Jason. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a quick Uber ride for me.
Yeah, Anwar, I think they are listing it as see both semis were 6:30s. And what are they listing this one as here?
It's got to be a later game, right?
You know how they love to do this. They love
to be a later game to get the West Coast people involved.
Come on at 6:30 or 7 and make it take too damn long. It's listed as a 6:30, Anwar.
Kickoff?
Listed as a 6:30. So you know that means it'll be about a 6:45 kick.
Okay, good to know.
Come on with the pregame show and all that good stuff.
Jason and I'll be there around 5 o'clock at the bar.
That's right. Well,
maybe we have some tequila for Alex.
That's true. They got all kinds of good stuff, all kinds of good food and drink.
Hey, Alex, are you a Blanco tequila kind of guy, or what do you
Reposado.
Rosados?
Yeah, Reposado. Yeah, it's kind of right there in the middle between the Blanco and the Añejo. Just an everyday drinker. Reposado for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring out. I'm gonna need to do I'm gonna need to jump through a lot of hoops to make it up there to the TCH Social. But gosh, man, I've been wanting to try that bacon and stuff too. It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see, since I know how into the high quality meat department you are. I want to know what you think of this bacon, because it is getting rave reviews from us simple folk. So I want to know what you guys think of it, and we want to know what all you think of it too. So plan on getting out there to check that out. Also, before we leave the TCH discussion, let me just remind you that online poker is back. If you have not been to hijackpoker.com, get there now. This is for all those players in the state of Texas. And that code OB20 is good through January 31st, the end of the month, and it will get you the $20 in free play. Texas Card House bringing you Hijack Poker. If you have not checked it out, do that. And Anwar talked about getting there early for the championship game on Monday. You could also get there early and maybe play some cards if that's your thing. And if a chat is your thing, throw us a super chat. We will get right to it as soon as we can. There's always portal stuff. We're talking essentially about focusing in on the receiver room today, since Isaiah Bond is officially headed to the NFL now, and trying to figure out kind of what that room looks like. We talk some offensive line. Pregnon ends up at Oregon. So does Texas end up making a move in the portal moving forward? And that's one of those where, guys, I know it's not a flashy position, but it's been a weird portal. Well, maybe it's just been a normal portal. Last year was probably the outlier. Last year was Saban retired. Last year was Jimbo got fired before the season was over, and he had a pretty stacked roster in terms of that type of guy. So you had a lot of names out there. I just don't know. Maybe Branch at USC, and I guess a couple quarterbacks have okay names, but I'm just not feeling the impact of this portal so far. Do you guys still think there's big time quality in the portal, like all the way through spring? Is there going to be that type of quality there, and maybe they just haven't jumped in yet? Anwar? Well,
the thing is, classes have already started. So I don't know how much time is left when you start talking about guys, starting classes, and you got the guys who are already in the portal, right? But I got to imagine at this point, if Texas wanted somebody, they would have them. You're only right. At this point, you're only waiting to see who maybe jumps in the portal from the championship teams. Your Ohio State or Notre Dame's. That's it, because everybody else has been on the market for weeks, and Texas hasn't made a move. Texas hasn't. Texas has kicked the tires on a couple of guys, but nobody of serious that they're saying like, we've got to obtain this person. And it's a tough thing that Texas is in, because these guys who are in the portal are wanting to get paid. But everybody who's on the Texas roster right now is saying, we want to get paid. Like, all those guys, all their agents have walked in and said, like, after the season, and said, we want money. What are you going to do for us? Every single one of them. And so, how do you manage some guys who you're like iffy on versus what you already know, and the guys that you got to take care of? You got to take care of, your Colin Simmonses of the world, or your Anthony Hills of the world. Like, those are your priorities, not somebody who's just coming in off the street. And especially if we're talking about Texas has money, but they're not, they're not like Scrooge McDuck or something where, they've just got a bunch of money just sitting there and they're just jumping into, gold coins. So I think it's a little bit of a balance, but I think at the end of the day, the guys that they wanted, I don't think there's just a ton of them out there that they feel like there's going to be worth the price.
Anwar, as you're talking, I looked at the Rivals portal rankings.
Mm-hmm.
They ranked 250 players, but of the top 100 players in the portal, guess how many are uncommitted?
Oh, God. Ooh. I'm going to guess more than half.
Wow. You know what the answer is?
What?
1.
Really?
One of the top 100 players in the portal per the Rivals rankings is uncommitted. Wow. Only 12 of the top.
Who is he? Should Texas go after?
Just send that name.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Wow. What's on his resume?
Right. What does he do when he parties?
Mekhi Hughes, running back from Tulane, number 17.
Wow. Not sure Choice has said that Choice is good, so I'm not sure that
yeah, with Jaden Blue going, he wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, right?
Well, and that almost gets to the discussion we were just having, guys. Let's say Sark and Kyle Flood get together and they think, man, to what Anwar was saying, man, may need some help on that offensive line. But what if it's not there?
You're gonna get it.
Right? What if it's not there?
You gave all the money to Brandon Baker. You got to play him. Like,
right.
I mean, what are you going to do? And here's the other thing. Look, there still is a spring window. We saw last year that they were able to address needs that we were banging our heads about during this time last year, saying, "What are you do? Like, what about Walter Nolan? What about all these defensive line guys? And then they were able to address it, with the Arizona dudes and Lole and stuff. That was a big kind of that was a big part of their plan last season. I do think, though, these spring kind of flameouts, these guys who kind of go through spring ball and then they want to get into the portal and stuff. There are two reasons why I think that that's not optimal. One is that I think you're probably shopping at a little bit more of the dented can aisle than you are than with the traditional portal guys, because those are dudes that for some reason they decided they were going to come back, but then decided that they weren't. And then the other thing is, I think just the market artificially inflates their value, because at that point in the season, you've gotten through spring ball, you've gotten a lot more information about your team. And whereas you go into spring ball saying, I think we're probably going to be good here. We could patchwork this thing to end. Like going through spring ball, you didn't patchwork it. All of a sudden you got a big problem. And so the available candidates to you aren't as many. Wasn't that TCU guy that wasn't even really that good that wanted to meet Dominic Williams? Wasn't he in the spring last year?
He was, and that's why he drove his price up, because
he drove his price up because he's the only defensive tackle. A lot of teams out there were defensive tackle needy, and it's like he's the only one. He's not even that good, but you got to pay him $1 million. So I think that for those two reasons, it's not optimal to be able to do this in the spring, but they've shown that they can navigate it. Lole wasn't, Lole, Norton, they were at least rotational players that had a role. Savea wasn't good.
Savea. So I'm looking here. Savea was in January. He enrolled, Alex. The guys who I'm looking on this list here. Norton enrolled in the spring. Lole, but then Javion Cole, and then Belton Gardner was that last minute addition in August after the injuries. And then everybody else was prior to that. Everybody else was kind of a James. So Bakuba was early. Trey Moore was December. Matthew Golden. All
the good guys.
Yeah. Right. To your point, right? Matthew Golden was early. Silas Bolden.
Bond.
Blackshire came and left, I believe. And then Bond. And then Nyblack. Nyblack was the last guy on January 18th that enrolled.
Yeah, it all came from that first wave. By the way, Jason, our man Cody Carpentier is letting us know Kai Hughes committed to Oregon. So the one guy's off. Apparently the one guy.
Our Oregon site needs to update their transfer portal. Yeah, so nobody in the top 100 is uncommitted. Yes.
That's crazy. Cody, thank you for that information. Yeah, and some people are in the chat talking about the weakness of the portal. I'll keep saying it. That portal's not going to happen again. How many times is the greatest coach that may have ever coached in college football going to retire, and a guy that put together a recruiting class that was just seen as one of the best ever fails to the point where you get rid of him before the season's done, and some of those guys become available?
And then it was also just all the dominoes, because it's not only Saban. It's that now DeBoer leaves and it opens up Washington, and then Homeboy leaves from Arizona and it opens up Arizona, and then Harbaugh leaves from, I guess Harbaugh didn't really open anything up, and they didn't lose too much portals, but it was just like the whole coaching carousel was it was completely set off all this stuff at a very interesting and advantageous time that was in that first window. So it wasn't necessarily just Alabama. Texas did well with the Alabama guys, but it all, like, as a second order effect, they did well with the Arizona guys and stuff.
And to add into that, Alex, too, building off of that, I think a lot more programs have done better as far as getting their NIL weight together. And so there was, kind of was, man, I got to go on the market in order to see what I'm getting paid. Well, all these agents, they're all doing their backdoor stuff to find out what deals I can. And my guy doesn't necessarily have to get on it. So all these agents have done a good job of making sure their guys have gotten paid. So sure, you got some guys that come in, but I think most programs have done a much better job of getting money together so they can pay and retain their guys. And there's more guys retained that are just like kidding. Remember, everyone was assuming that who's that? Was it Ryan Williams? Everyone just assumed that Ryan Williams was just going to go back and become, go into the transfer portal. And he's like, nah, I don't got to do that because he's good because they're paying him.
Perfect segue, Anwar. Oscar with the $9.99. Catch constantly told us, assumed based on real things. I assume he was hearing that elite players like Ryan Williams were locks to enter the portal, even just to see their worth. What happened to that? Anwar, the what happened to that is money, right?
Yeah. Well, hell, Oscar, man, you and I are on the same wavelength. That's
how about
scary,
that, right?
Man. Like, I don't even know where that came. I literally didn't even see that comment. And I'm serious. No, teams are paying their guys. Like, and when you talk to coaches at different programs, like all these kids are, they start asking for money before the season's over. Like everyone knows what's going to be available, and most of those guys are, will take what they can, and some guys will go in and test the market, but most of these guys I think are good. So. You don't really, I don't think you saw a lot of sexy names. And like to Alice's point, there was a huge domino that happened. So there's that. I think it's two things. The dominoes didn't really fall. Wasn't a lot of coaching turnover at major programs. And a lot of programs are paying their guys well. Somehow, some way, they found the money, Chad. Because you remember, there used to be a time where they said, if we pay these guys, college football and all these programs are just going to die. We're just not going to even have college football. All these athletic programs are going to die, and somehow, some way, they all have come up with money. Isn't that kind of a weird thing?
Yeah, and this is their first time to have the $20 million-ish.
Yeah,
right. Then maybe that sort of explains it a little bit too. Oscar, thank you for that one. But yeah, and if you are a part of the NIL muscle in Tuscaloosa, and you can't keep that kid,
sure.
You're not making the statement properly. Like, to me, it was embarrassing what happened with Jordan Addison, that you win the Biletnikoff and then you end up somewhere else. But think about where that was. That was Pitt. That's Pitt to USC. That feels a little different than if it was Ryan Williams going from Bama to anywhere. I mean, that's not going to feel good if you're a Bama fan, if you're a Bama booster. So that would kind of, I think, help explain that, Oscar. Thank you for that super chat. If you want to throw us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. We're talking portal stuff. We're talking about the exodus to the NFL, which we knew was coming, and how Texas will deal with that. And we will continue that discussion. Also, we are thanking a lot of our great partners around here. Let me hit you with a little sinus and snoring specialist. It is that time of year when temperatures are going crazy. It's up, it's down, it's a lot of rain, then it's not, and then there's the ice, and then there's just a lot of stuff that can happen to you. So make sure you get it taken care of. Your sinus issues, those sinus infections, your allergies. I got rid of my allergies for good all the way back in 2017. You know how Jeff Ketchum talks about that 85% that kind of haunts him? Well, my 85% ended up being a good thing. They told me I was 85% blocked in my nasal passages, and they showed me that with an instrument that Dr. Slaughter at Sinus and Snoring helped develop. So this is the very latest in ear, nose, and throat stuff. If you've heard about a product called Inspire, that might be for you. If you've heard about CPAP, that might be for you. My path was a little different than both of those. It's going to be curtailed specially for you, but designed to help you get rid of those snoring issues, sleep apnea issues, get rid of your allergies, sinus infections, all that stuff. They can get you resting better and feeling better. It's just that simple. Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Check them out. SinusSnoringENT.com or call them at 601-0303. Make sure you tell them you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. We certainly would appreciate it. And,
you know what, Chad? The guy that runs my Wednesday morning, it's like a men's like Bible study group from my church. Dude, he got this gnarly thing where they installed it in him to get rid of his sleep apnea. Have you heard about this thing?
Yeah, that's Inspire.
Yeah,
that is the Inspire.
They put it inside your body, man. It's like a robo, man. It's crazy.
When Dr. Slaughter explained that to me, I'm like, wait, what? And yeah, they put something in it's like in the neck area, I think it is. And you have like a little key fob kind of thing that sits by the bed. You hit a button and it like makes your tongue go forward or something like that. I don't even know. He tried to explain it to me one day as we're talking about stuff, and I'm like, wait a second. And it works? He says, oh, yeah, it works really well.
This dude says it's great. He's like,
are you getting good results? He goes, oh, people love it. Absolutely love it. It's like, okay. Again, that may be y'all's path. I don't know that it would be mine, but hey, if it helps you sleep better, a lot of people would try just about anything. So check them out, sinus and snoring specialist. But that's a good story. There you go. Alex knows somebody that's got inspired. So, if you see those commercials, that's what it's all about. All right, gentlemen, let's see. We talked about these guys headed to the NFL. We talked about Pregnon. Is there anything else kind of on y'all's brains right now, modcast wise? I know you guys, when you get together on this show, there's a lot of intel that gets out there. Any intel you're holding back? Any intel you want to get out there to the people? Anwar, let me start with you. As far as kind of what's on your brain right now, as we are 4 days past that Ohio State game.
Well, I don't know if it's like intel per se. I don't know if it's like intel stuff, but no, I've kind of put a ribbon and bow on the season. I've kind of, we're moving along. I mean, guys have checked in. Winter conditioning should be getting started soon. So, it's been such a quick turnaround. It's nonstop. It's just never ending. Like we literally ended the season last week. Guys are already, the rest of the guys are on campus. Winter conditioning gets started, right? Like I said, right around the corner. It's just a nonstop process. You're still talking transfer portal. Jason's got recruiting events. He's got junior days that are coming up. So, I mean,
rub it in, Omar.
Huh?
Rub it in. Under Armour camps, junior days, rivals camps, 7-on.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is going to Mobile soon.
That'll be what I think. It's not this weekend because I'm gonna get out for one day this weekend to go hunt. But I think that it's that next weekend I'll be leaving that weekend. And yeah, we'll be in Mobile. Cody and I will have our shows from live there in Mobile, and we'll all, after that, we'll just, be a hop, skip, and a jump to the combine. We'll have shows live from there, covering all the Longhorns and all the NFL draft buzz. Always a bunch of, talk about intel. That's always where, these scouts don't answer my phone calls as well anymore. But at least when I see them there live, they'll probably be able to talk to them. I think these guys, since Texas is good and they have to watch them so much, they don't call me begging for so much info on these guys. You know what I mean?
It's already part of their day.
Yeah, it's just like, it's wild.
Jason, anything else on your mind?
No, all the number one recruiting class, most of them all enrolled at Texas yesterday or started classes at Texas yesterday. So those guys will be there for spring football. First junior day is not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So we'll have full coverage of that. Just like Almar said, it never ends. Busy.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say is I'll be ready for Quinn to announce he's going pro. So for all these, so we don't have to deal with these faceless idiots who keep posting things about him potentially transferring to, another program, or, Alex's favorite draft experts who say this is what he's going to do and why he needs to go there. Like the thing I've maintained, and again, Alex would be a guy to lean on, but I know everything I keep hearing from those inside is that they feel like once you get past Deion Sanders and Cam Ward, it's kind of just a crapshoot for what quarterback would be taken next. And so, Quinn and their people feel like they've got just as good a chance as most of these other guys who are out there. So, and it makes no sense for him to even think about going to a college for another year and risking injury or anything to that effect. So I'm just waiting for him to make his announcement so, he can kind of start that next chapter of what he's been looking forward to.
I have never seen
in Los Angeles with Sean McVay, please.
That would be a great landing spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it.
People are like Pittsburgh.
Everything lines up perfect. It's
LA makes sense. I've never seen such a high-profile quarterback with such varying, prognostications on where he might land up. Like I saw I don't remember, Sports Illustrated draft or somebody had him like 6th round, and I'm like, what? You're talking all the way from first to second, third. Some people say it'll fall past the third. I don't know, man. I don't remember ever seeing a quarterback with such variations on their draft rating. Just,
I mean, there have been some. I mean, it's if you just think about like,
you're talking first round to fourth round. That's
it's certainly happened. Think about I'm trying to think about the guy that went to like say Nassib. What was Ryan Nassib? Some people said that he was a first round grade guy. He ended up going like fourth round. Like guys like Malik Willis, people were talking about him being a top 10 pick. I guess that wasn't like a fifth round guy or anything. I mean, there been
rounder, though, he was pretty.
I don't know, man. It's like
when you had a draft, when you just had 6 in the top 12, and you feel like that's not happening this year. You feel like it's Sanders and Cam Ward way up top. But then in all the mocks that you're seeing now, there's not like a quarterback that's drifting into the first round. I'm seeing the next quarterback. Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm seeing the next quarterback going in the second round a lot of times.
Yeah. And we just had a year, Chad, where it's like however many, 6 quarterbacks went off the board in the first round?
Yeah, top 12. 6 in the top 12.
And then we didn't see the next one go off until it was like round 5 or something.
Fifth round. Spencer Rattler was the next guy.
Rattler, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
so it's like
right. It's not going to space out like that again.
No, and it's the thing. It's like you pick your flavor of them. Yesterday, I was watching a bunch of Ole Miss all 22 stuff because I was breaking down their wide receiver Trey Harris for over at Roster Watch and getting ready to do that show with Cody. And I started thinking to myself, why are we not talking about Jackson Dart, like a guy that could be right there in this discussion? I think that there's gonna be people that have their flavor of guy and their dude that they like, and yeah, it's not gonna be wherever you start, hearing about these dudes going in the. Yeah, it's not like they're all a Spencer Rattler or a Joe Milton or do you know what I mean? Like these are guys that people are going to have day 2. They're going to say like, all right, we could take this guy in day 2, like a Derek Carr or they saw something in him, or a Russell Wilson. They saw something in him. Jimmy Garoppolo, this type of player, right? I think that that's what they're going to. Different teams are going to have their different flavors of player, and certainly somebody's going to covet Quinn Ewers, especially once he gets into the. I think probably by now it's too late for him to get into the Senior Bowl, but I would think that Jim Nagy would love to have him there. And I've been saying it the whole time. If I were Quinn, I would try to go to an All-Star game and just go get as many practice reps as I can, because if there's one thing where Quinn looks awesome, it's at practice. I think that if he could go do that, he could do a lot to elevate his stock, because people would. It just puts it a little bit, the injury stuff from the season and some of the inconsistency stuff from the season and the lack of accuracy on the deep balls from the season and stuff like that in games. I think you can if you go in and you do it in practices, you kind of do it versus air, or even in the, even on the wide receiver one-on-ones. I think it could go a long way for these coaches and these GMs who right now they've been playing football games all year, man. It's been these scouts that have been grinding their butts to leather on the road all season, just trying to file the reports. Now they give it to the guys who are going to make the decisions. And so they look through, they're like, well, our scout, Bob in the scouting says this guy is this and this and this, but look, I'm looking at him right now. Like, give me that kid, and I can turn him into what I want him to be. Like that's how these coaches think. So right. I think Quinn, I think it would behoove him to go do that stuff. But even if we only see him throw at the combine and stuff like that in pro day, I think he'll have good showings there. And someone will fall in love with the guy. I probably won't be a first round pick, but it could be. And there will probably be one or two of these guys that end up going first round, maybe later on, wherever somebody trades up to pick 31 or 32 to be able to secure the 5th-year option, like we've seen with some of these guys in the past. So whether it's Quinn or not, we're left to see, but I'm with Anwar, man. It's like, I think it's be crazy for him to transfer to some other school right now.
Dude,
and the thing is, by the way,
I'm glad y'all don't do my finances. If someone's going to pay him $5 million, why would you not transfer for 1 year?
I mean, I just think it's just
that's more than Michael Penix made as a top 10 pick last year.
Oh, right, but there's also the stuff. Well, yeah, but it's all
take out insurance for your injury concerns. I mean,
It adds a lot of question marks to your profile. And also, I mean, let's be real, Jason.
Worked for Cam Ward. Hey, worked for Cam Ward.
Yeah, but Cam Ward wasn't hurt every year.
Yeah. And the thing is, by the way, so Alex, Jackson Dart, though, is trying to get another year of eligibility right now.
He is?
Yeah, he applied for like a waiver with the NCAA. So he's trying to play one more year at this moment. Like we'll have to see if that happens, but he is trying to. So if he gets the waiver to play another year, that's another guy out of the mix. And then, then
I don't even know. Is he had like an injury year or something, or what's his issue?
He's just, I don't know. You got to look. Just do.
Put up with Lane Kiffin for a few years. I need to next one more year.
You know, there's something because like Diego Pavia.
Well, Cam got an extra
year.
So he is leaving.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, let's see. We got a couple of a couple folks letting us know that.
So hold on, I just want to finish my thought. Hold on, chat. So just real quick. So as relates to that, once you get past Shador and Cam, right? Now you're talking about Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, maybe the guy from Syracuse, Dylan Gabriel, like Will Howard. Right. I mean, at that point, you can talk yourself into a Quinn at that point if you're just looking for a pro style quarterback. I'm just, that's why it makes all the sense. I get what you're saying, Jason, but next year he'd come back and he may not be a potential first, second pick, especially if he gets hurt again. Like at some point, the money's good, but if your goal, and Quinn's goal has been to go pro since he's been in high school. Like, dude was like, he wanted to get some NIL by skipping his senior year of high school and start the clock on going pro. And I think that if that's his overall goal, then, you got to go for it.
So it does look like Cam Williams is headed to the draft. And then also our guy, Cody Carpentier, throwing in this little nugget, Jackson Dart going to the Senior Bowl. Apparently that is.
I don't pretend to know how all these rules and trying to get more eligibility and stuff goes, man. It's like, I leave that to Diego Pavia's lawyer. If Jackson Dart's to the Senior Bowl, I'm just saying, like, I'm a little bit more interested in him after kind of, I don't know, after watching that Ole Miss offense a whole lot yesterday. Maybe I just watched a couple of good games, but I think he's a guy that we might hear more about throughout this process.
Mark said Cam was going to announce yesterday, but it was a false start. Ouch, Mark.
Mark.
That's a big development, though, guys. Just kind of wrapping up. That really shakes things up again for Texas up front. And Brandon, like someone said,
it was always expected. And whenever I heard on Sunday that he was still deciding, I was like, well, that would be the ultimate found money, right?
Yeah, and I think I said on Almar's show, or I can remember, it just didn't make sense to me. I think if he's graded as a first round, maybe even second round, I'd be like, dude, Cam, you crazy, go. I mean, his situation is much different than Quinn's. I mean, he'd be crazy not to go. So I was surprised to hear that he was even considering staying, honestly.
And then just to circle back, guys, to a guy that has already been discussed, and Alex talked about Brandon Baker. I think maybe all of you have said his name today at one point. But in terms of this, let's reset everybody's brain. Brandon Baker in high school, badass 5-star, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So both of those things.
Yeah, this is a guy that is expected to be able to fit in immediately somewhere. Any notion on where that somewhere is? Like, what's his natural?
He played right tackle in high school, even.
Yeah,
usually a guy his caliber is going to be your left tackle in high school. We had another fantastic players from Mater Day. They're loaded. So he played right tackle in high school. So it's not like it's foreign for him to be on the right-hand side.
So Gooseby taking over at left tackle, Brandon Baker right tackle. That doesn't sound like
I would assume, there would be some people who I'm not sure I agree with that thinks that, that you could get some better combos by putting him at guard. But I disagree. And I watched the offensive line very closely.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, I think if I had to make a guess right now, the way that this thing's going to start out, first day of spring practices, unless there's a portal addition from left to right, Gooseby, Cole Hudson, Connor Robertson, DJ Campbell, Brandon Baker.
Alex, can you allow me to nerd out on your stats for a little bit? Can you go and pull up your offensive line grades? And I'm curious for what that potential starting line looks like. I'm curious as to what relevant grades you would apply to all those guys. I'm kind of curious what would be coming back.
All right. So the guys that are coming back, as far as their grades on the season, so you have so Connor Robertson, Nato Yamuzulo is coming back. Nato Yamuzulo actually, he only played enough to qualify for a grade versus ULM and versus CSU, but his grades in that game, I mean, he technically graded out better than DJ Campbell on the whole season. But DJ Campbell played every game and received grades in every game. Connor Robertson and Cole Hudson, as far as my grades, were the worst two graded players out of Banks, Gooseby, Williams, Connor, Yamuzulo, DJ Campbell, Majors, Robertson, and Hudson. They graded out, and that I can't believe that Gooseby finished the season with a higher grade overall than Cam Williams. That's surprising to me. But then if you look at the snaps per disruption allowed, so of the dudes coming back, so we had Connor Robertson allowed disruption once every 35.5 snaps. Brandon Baker allowed disruption once every 30 snaps. Nato Yamuzulo allowed disruption once every 23.7 snaps. Trevor Gooseby allowed disruption once every 21 snaps. Now that's regular season. If we added in the postseason, I think that number would have gone up because only one active disruption allowed on 63 snaps in the game that he started. And then but the guys coming back, hate to say it, but the guys that played big samples, DJ Campbell, Trevor Gooseby, Cole Hudson were bottom three in snaps per disruption allowed. Once every 24.83 snaps, once every 21 snaps, once every 15.56 snaps. 15.56 snaps as far as historical comparison, allowing disruption or committing a penalty, is the fifth worst on record out of 83 qualifiers that have played at least 100 snaps during the time I've been doing this, dating back to 2013. The only four that were worse than that were Andre Carrick is a redshirt freshman, once every 15.5 snaps. Tristan Nicholson is a senior, once every 12.9 snaps. Cameron Hughes is a sophomore, once every 12.9 snaps. And then Tristan Nicholson again is a junior, once every 12.7 snaps. Okay. So they are bringing back some of the guys that allowed some of the most disruption and some of the lowest graded players on the team. With that being said, they were playing on an offensive line that was very, very experienced at two of the spots, right? With with Majors and Connor. And then had elite tackles that are both leaving for the NFL and might both go first round. So it's like that was a really good offensive line. They were up for the Joe Moore Award for a reason.
Yeah,
and Alex would have won the Joe Moore Award if they would have just done better versus Georgia. It felt like they had to give that thing to Army after that game.
Yeah. And again, Alex, just to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, the interior of that line you were talking about that you might try out day one of spring ball. Hudson at left guard, Robertson center, Campbell right guard?
Yeah, I think so. Or the only other thing that I could see would be Nato left guard, Hudson center, Campbell right guard.
Okay. Gotcha.
Who would be, by the way, who are the backup tackles that you would have on each side, Alex?
I think I would have on the left. Yeah, I mean, that starts to get actually a tiny bit hairy, dude. I think the way I would have it now is I would have probably Kojo. I think Kojo and Baker is probably going to be a little bit of I'll bet you he mixes both those guys up to start, right? And Baker, but I think it's be Baker than Kojo. And then on the left side, it's like, I guess Jaden Chapman. Maybe Malik Agbo can go back to being a tackle again, but like the way that his body fluctuates between having to play a jumbo tight end and playing tackle, it's like kind of pulling him in two separate ways every season to have to put on weight, take it off. I don't know.
Nick Brooks, the big freshman, can come in and be ready, but I don't know if he's athletic enough to be a left.
That's Anwar's guy. You can ask him about that.
You're gonna have to kind of rush some of those guys along just in case. Yeah.
All right, before we wrap up here, let's thank one more of our great partners, and it is Specs. They bring you the chat. Got over 1,100 of you in that Specs chat right now. If you need to get stocked up on the liquid, the food, all kinds of great stuff, they got you.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets.
All right, gentlemen, before we get out of here, we won't do a full round of buy or sell. I just got one I want to get your reaction to. Buy or sell. The idea of Deion to the Cowboys sounds perfect for Jerry. Jason, buy or sell?
No, that would crash and burn. I think Deion needs to stay in college.
To sell, Alex?
Jerry's too old, man. I used to stand up for him. When these guys get too old in these positions of power, we need to get him out of here, man. But it would be perfect. It would be perfect. Yes, it would be. I'm not saying it would be perfect for football, but it would be perfect for senile Jerry to do something like that.
Anwar, what do you think?
I'd sell on it. Even though Alex made me laugh, I think Deion's got ego and Jerry's got ego, and I can see that becoming a clash at some point because Jerry's going to step on Deion's toes. Deion's going to have a press conference. Jerry's going to say something afterwards. Like you need for Jerry, he needs to have a guy that he can control, and you're not going to control Deion. That's just at the end of the day. So yeah. Their egos are too big. I think it would be a massive clash. So that's why I would sell on it.
Well, and Anwar, that with normal NFL teams, there's like a press conference that you have at the beginning of training camp, and it's like just the coach, and that's it. But with the Cowboys, you got to have the coach. You got to have Jerry. They've added Steven over the last couple of years. Can you imagine showing if they go to Oxnard and he and Deion sit together at a table to do a presser? Oh, my God.
Yeah, but that's fine. The problem is when Jerry does his show on Tuesday and then someone on Wednesday asks Deion, hey, Jerry said you guys didn't do this. What about that? Right? Like that kind of, twisting the knife, that poking, like that's why I think Deion's the king in Colorado at this moment. Like if you're going to coach, why would you leave?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Just wanted to throw in an extra one there in case you haven't heard. Jerry and Deion have spoken, but not officially about the job at this point. All right. Thank you guys.
Schefter put out a statement like he spoke to Deion, and didn't Schefter have something from him that said like it's intriguing, but I really like Colorado? I thought I saw that last night.
Yeah, kind of. I wouldn't say it was an out and out I'm staying. It was kind of I'm considering both. I think maybe he's trying to get the official interview there. And, of course, in this world of the NFL, you have to have, is it 2 Rooney Rule interviews now? Not just one?
I think it's just one.
Just one? That would be, if you have the official interview.
I know that the Jets did 2 with they brought in Leftwich, and I forgot who was the other one they brought in. It was just Pep Hamilton. It's just
right. Yeah.
Like, all right, now bring in Vrabel. It's crazy.
It might be that type of deal too. So we will keep an eye on that one as well. Thanks to everybody for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications. Let's get you the programming update. Football with Friends with Alex and Cody this evening at 6. Old Fashioned tomorrow morning at 9 with Anwar. And then tomorrow, Jason and I will have a special edition of the Recruiting Hour. There'll be no specific House Divided tomorrow. Catch dealing with the business he's dealing with. And I'm going to be actually a part of that and meetings tomorrow and stuff. So no House Divided tomorrow, but Jason and I will have a Recruiting Hour stuff coming off of the Navy All-Star game, stuff headed towards a big junior day. We'll get some recruiting talk in tomorrow. Portal obviously will be a part of it as well. So all that's coming up. That's 10 o'clock tomorrow. So thank you all for getting your notifications so you know when all the shows happen. And remember, if you didn't like on the way in, like on the way out. And if you're not a current subscriber, maybe subscribe on the way out. Check that off your list today. Fellas, I appreciate it. Also, check everything these guys have for you at orangebloods.com. the very latest. There is a portal thread, a guys headed to the NFL thread on orangebloods.com. You can follow that up and make sure everything's going right. And obviously all the content that you get from these guys throughout the week as well. So check that out at orangebloods.com. And thank you for supporting us right here on Orange Bloods Live. Until next Tuesday at 10 a.m. for the next Modcast. This was the Modcast and kind of house divided.